Welcome back to Mike Drop Sports and the podcast all about the game. This is a little bit of an extra episode this week. I'm going to throw in this download. I want to talk about Najee Harris and his fifth-year option. It's never too early to start talking about that, guys. And Najee has a lot of insiders, a lot of people around the Steelers saying that they think it's possible that the Steelers will pick up that fifth-year option, which right now it's worth about $8.5 million. However, if Najee does make another Pro Bowl, that'll move up to roughly about $10 million. What I want to know from everybody in the comments is, do you think that's too much for Najee Harris, considering we sit in an NFL right now that really doesn't value that running back position as it once did? And a lot of players are kind of put to the back burner, even if they're doing well and having big seasons, because it's the running back position. And teams are just letting them go, and they're just going out and finding another workhorse in the draft. Is that the right thing to do? Or should the Steelers go ahead and move into that fifth-year option with Najee Harris? After 4 years, he'll roughly made about $13 million, $13.5 million. That's what's projected so far after his 4-year rookie deal. That fifth-year option would bring that to about $25 million total. So that would be a big price tag currently right now for a running back in the NFL. So do the Steelers need to do that? And is this contingent on a year two Jaylen Warren? If Jaylen Warren does well and really excites the fan base and shows the Steelers that he can be that workhorse and that he can be the guy in the backfield, do the Steelers let Najee walk and go ahead and pick up another guy in the draft or through free agency to work alongside Jaylen Warren? Is that how the Steelers approach it? So there's several options that they can take, several roads that the Steelers franchise can travel. And is Najee an important enough piece to the locker room that they want to keep him there? So there's a couple variables there for the Steelers and things that they need to really watch and really look for. In my opinion, I think that they should exercise it. And I think they should keep and hold on to Najee Harris. I know the injury concern last year with the foot, the Liz Frank stuff. I get that. I understand the injury thing. But Najee is a workhorse, and he will take that ball and he'll run constantly. You can run him into the ground and he'll just keep on going. He doesn't mind the work. He doesn't mind the amount of carries. And he seems to be, a bigger body guy where he can handle some of them hits and some of that abuse. In my opinion, though, Najee Harris, I think he is that guy, and I think we should keep him, and I think we should hold on to him. And I don't feel that $10 million or $8.5 million, which it'll probably be, we'll see. I don't think that that's too much of a price tag for a guy like Najee Harris. I think he's a quality running back. I think he can catch the ball out of the backfield. I think he can get tough yards. I think he's proven that last year. What about the catch in Baltimore to win the game? So the moments aren't too big for him. He comes from a great, big, huge college program to where the lights never, they never overwhelm Najee. So he is there and he's ready for the big moments. But I think a lot is going to be contingent on this offensive line. This offensive line has to do better and give Najee some room. And I think if the offensive line really comes together this year, the Steelers are going to be backed into a corner because Najee's going to have a big year. But as we've seen in other places in the NFL, having 1,200 yard season doesn't matter to these guys. And you guys think of this too. Just do the math. Your 1,200 yard season, whatever. You're playing 17 games now. What is that? 70 yards a game, something like that. I don't know, 65 yards a game. It's not a big, huge average like it once was, So as the games get more and more and more packed onto the schedule, the production has to be up, 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 up. You have to keep going up. So Najee would need to, in my opinion, have a really steady, stellar season to where, he has way over 1,000 yards, multiple touchdowns, just always there in the big moments, no big injuries, no nagging injuries, and really force the Steelers to have no choice but to sign him because of just how much of quality play that he puts onto the field and just how much he means to that Steelers locker room and being a leader and being there. And I don't know. just having some sense of loyalty. Maybe he takes some sort of like a hometown discount if they do decide to extend him and not pay him that 50-year option. Maybe they eliminate that, work a new deal. I am not a contract guru, guys. And I know I did my video yesterday and we were talking about maybe an Aaron Donald trade, which was like a hypothetical thing. I did see it on a couple other websites. I've seen other guys putting it out there. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on it. I don't think that it should happen or should happen, but these contracts, they are complex and there's many variables inside these contracts, so many rules, so many ins and outs that there is always a loophole. So it's just one of those things that we all got to really, really study. If you're not a cap guy, not a contract guy, and that you really hammer it and study it, it's really hard to fully grasp everything, all the variables inside these contracts. So let's just see what the Steelers do with Najee. I think they should exercise it. I know it's going to be a hefty price tag, but they can restructure these contracts as we've said before. So I think that Omar Khan could make the money work. I don't know if 10 million or 8.5 million is too much for a running back in today's game, but I don't think so. Not when you're dealing with the caliber of a player as a Najee Harris sits right now, as he sits right now, what he is and what he means to that team, in my opinion. So guys, let's just say hopefully they'll exercise that. Hopefully Najee stays healthy. No, hopefully Najee continues down the path to success that he has so far, and we continue to see him for 6-7 years in a Steelers uniform, which is usually the average lifespan there for a top shelf running back. Nobody's Adrian Peterson. They're not going, or Frank Gore or something like that. Those are unicorns, guys. Those guys are complete physical crazy specimens, man. They're just unreal, and the way that they were able to have such longevity has me in awe, and especially at that running back position. So let's move on, guys. Training camp starts 16 days. Thank you, God. I cannot wait. Thank you. I appreciate that's in 16 days, because this is a dry news period, guys. And I know some people get upset when you're talking about some things that aren't necessarily, super news, important news. And a lot of conversations are hypothetical, and I don't want to talk about that stuff at all. But, in these drier news periods, you have to talk about something. So you try to find the best news that you can, the things that would mean the most to the Steeler fans, and try to run with them and try to see, explore them a little bit and just talk about them. So, they're not necessarily something that we're saying is definitively going to happen, because, a lot of these things are far-fetched. Some of them are slightly far-fetched, but, they don't always hold a lot of weight, and they're just usually rumors and things like that. So bear with us, guys. I appreciate you being here on Mic Drop Sports and the podcast all about the game, because we are about to dive into some real Steelers news, Steelers talk, breaking down players, breaking down position groups. And that's where I wanted to talk about training camp being in 16 days. That is so close, guys. That's a little over 2 weeks, 2 weeks and 1 day away. Thank you. And we want to talk about what positions we need to be watching, or what groups we need to be watching, according to us here at Mic Drop Sports. Things that I think every fan should be paying attention to, that I think really mean the most to the Pittsburgh Steelers moving into training camp. And that is, one, being that offensive line. Is it gelling? Who is at the tackle positions? Do we have Broderick Jones starting, the young guy, or is Dan Moore staying there? Or does Dan Moore slide over to the right tackle position and Broderick back at the left tackle to start out his rookie year? Where do these players fit, and what chemistry do they have going into the first preseason game? Are there any injuries? Have the Steelers moved players around and picked up other offensive linemen? What grouping works best together? I think that's what we need to be really watching. And I think it really means the most to so many things: the pass game, the run game, Kenny Pickett's development, Najee Harris and his 5th-year option that's going to be coming up before we know it. Those types of things. Like, there's a lot of guys dependent on that offensive line being successful. So I want to watch that, guys. So let's keep an eye out on that offensive line and see what they can do. And I think that Omar Khan has really put a group of men in that room that are going to be something decent, or at least okay and serviceable no matter what. And hopefully, fingers crossed, they can be special. So we'll see how that goes, guys. That's one. That's like my biggest thing that I want you guys to keep an eye out for at training camp. My second position that I want you guys to keep an eye out for is the cornerback room. Are these young guys playing? I know we talked yesterday about a possible Joey Porter holdout, which could happen. I know there's a bunch of legalese in there and a bunch of different ways that these contracts are under constriction and under heavy amounts of rules, and they're structured. But when I was talking yesterday, I wasn't probably as clear as I should be. We're probably talking with the Joey Porter thing, like $1 million or so, a 5th-year option maybe on that contract. So it's just little things. It's not huge things, but he could sit out if he wanted to. He doesn't have to come there. He could try to get, those little things. So we'll have to see how that plays out with Joey Porter, which I don't think it will. I didn't think it would yesterday, but I was just talking about it as a hypothetical. It could happen. So, does Joey Porter get to camp on time? Is he showing what he should? And is he used to the speed of the NFL game? Does Corey Trice shock the world from the 7th round and show what he can do, because he has all the potential in the world to be really good? So let's keep an eye on those two young, lengthy, young studs that could be coming into the fold and starting for the Pittsburgh Steelers for many years, barring injury, barring, just not able to pick up the NFL speed. So we'll see how those two go. What about the veterans at the cornerback position? Is Patrick Peterson a fossil, like some are calling him, or does he look like a young stud out there? And does his knowledge of the game give him an advantage? Is he able to, slide into that slot corner role a little bit and play some more exotic sets? We need to watch those things, and we need to really keep an eye out at practice of what's going on there, so we can kind of get a clue what's going to happen with that grouping. So far, you have Levi Wallace in there. Also, let's keep an eye out on him. There's just so many variables inside that cornerback room right now. Some that could be really good and some that could be absolutely devastating and set the Steelers defense back with one wrong injury, one wrong move to where somebody doesn't play up to their potential. There's so many variables that really could put a big damper on that cornerback room. So let's definitely keep an eye out on that cornerback room. My third position also that I want you guys to keep an eye out is inside linebacker. Who's the starting guys? Is Holcomb, those guys who emerges as one of the stars there in the inside linebacker room. How is that group going to gel, considering it's entirely basically new except for one player? They've totally revamped that room. Are those guys going to have that cohesiveness to have, a solid pass and run attack to where they can play that run, play downhill, but yet have that guy that can come back and cover, a tight end or a slot guy or something, just to where they can protect that middle of the field and really maybe even put some pressure on the quarterback from that position. Do we have the athleticism that's at that position to be able to do some blitzing and to be able to have them out there covering some guys? What do we have there? We need to really be examining that, because none of us know. We haven't been able to see it. So once they get those helmet and shoulder pads on, we'll be able to see what we actually maybe possibly have at that position. And hopefully we can figure that out before opening day, because that might be one of the bigger concerns. Does Keanu Neal come down from the safety position and play a little bit in that inside linebacker type role? Loading him down in the box. Does a Herbig, does he work well at the pass rush on the outside linebacker? Or do they slide him in and make him do a little inside linebacker work? Even if he's doing well at the outside linebacker role, does that get him a role on this team this year to, fill in a little bit at inside linebacker? Just so many hypothetical things. I don't know. We'll have to see how it all works out. But then you have two guys. I want you to watch the Alex Highsmith contract. We were just talking about Nick Herbig. We were just talking about him. What if he does spectacular in the moments that he gets in there? Just say, hypothetically, that he does super well. He's in there. He's busting people's ass. He's getting some sacks. He's able to play, a little bit of coverage. He's able to play the run. He does well for a rookie. Let's just say that he does. Does that make Alex Highsmith and his contract a little easier not to pick up? So, I mean, there's some variables there too. So let's watch out for these couple little contract things that we have coming up. The Alex Highsmith deal. I know we'll get the Joey Porter Jr. deal done. It's just a matter of when. We'll have to see when that happens. And let's watch those position groups first. Those are the ones I want to watch first anyway. So I'm just recommending them to you. So let's all keep an eye on them. We'll put them in the comments. We'll talk about them. We'll start to break down these groups and actually really dive into what we want to, the nuts and bolts of this team, and really see what we got and what we're working with here in 2023-2024 season. I hope you guys like this extra episode for this week. So keep on watching, guys. I appreciate it. I've been trying to reply to those comments, so keep on putting them in there. You don't have to agree with me, guys. So again, I'm working on my delivery to give you guys the best product that I can. We're going to be getting some more news, so things are going to get better with that. So if you like to break down things, you like to be able to, or, players and position groups, we're really going to start breaking those things down and really starting to talk about those. So stick around, subscribe. We're really going to get into it, guys. And again, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Keep on coming back to Mike Drop Sports and the podcast, all about the game.